Guys, today I wanted to talk about something that's called pain OCD. Pain OCD is something that I suffered from for years, and I've had OCD since I was 7 years old. Now I'm 27, so that's been 20 years. And pain OCD is basically when you have something that some people call neuroplastic pain, or you probably hear of this term as somatic pain. That's what pain OCD really is. But it's not just somatic pain, it's not just pain that's sort of created by your brain, it's more so your obsessional story about it. And I've used to have these for all my life. Like I used to have back pains, stomach pains, known as irritable bowel syndrome. I used to have shoulder pains to the point I couldn't type on my computer because they were too high. I couldn't raise my arms. And these, I used to have so many weird physical symptoms. I feel like I have a hearing loss, but that would be maybe for like other subtype of OCD. But the pain OCD is all about pain. It's all about literally having real pain in your body that's been inflicted by your brain. And it's the brain is what creates the pain. The brain can get confused, and it sends pain as a signal to you to stop doing some movement. Because when it feels it may get injured, if your arms go up on a computer like this while typing, it will send you a pain signal that says, hey, this structure, be it your shoulder joint, be it your rotator cuff, be it your muscles that are supporting your bone structure, this may get injured. Some part of this structure may and will get injured if you continue this movement, if you exceed this limited range of motion that we now show you. So your normal range of motion is this, but with shoulder pain, your brain literally sends a signal to you that says, hey, stop here, because here you got pain, stop here, so don't go over this. And this signal, if you are afraid of it, just like with OCD, it may get hampered. It may get, stuck in one position. Almost think of it as switch being on and switch being off. And you may switch it right between on and off. And with neuroplastic pain, as I like to call it, or some people call it somatic pain, it's neuroplastic because the brain creates pathways around that pain where, because you avoid that pain and you start avoiding it and you start to be really afraid of it, and you may have a story around it, and you start to be really, you create a conditioned response, really. That's what it is. So if you think of OCD, well, you create a conditioned response to trash bin. You create a conditioned response with, if you don't have contamination OCD, by checking OCD to your doors, to the lock that's in your doors, or to your kitchen, houseware. Like, oh my God, is there a gas going on? And that's a conditioned response because you show your brain so many times that, hey, this is what I'm afraid of. This is what I need to check, control, run away from. I can't afford this scenario to happen where I would have let something, off and no, I gotta check it. The brain starts to get aware of this, and it's like, okay, he's checking it or she's checking it because they need us to protect them from it. That's a dangerous thing probably. So let's just keep it on their mind. Let's just shovel them with images and thoughts of this thing, and let's send them some anxiety. And anxiety is an SOS signal in the brain which says, hey, there's a danger right there. You better check it out or you better run away from it. And it's constantly, because it's uncomfortable, you do what it tells you. It's like a guy with a gun to your head. It's like, hey, it's like a scene in a Fight Club movie. Hey, get a job tomorrow. Go back to your school. Don't just sell stuff here in a 9/11. Get back to job. Get back to school. And because it's or else I'm gonna shoot you. It's kind of drastic. It's from Fight Club movie. I like that movie very much so, but it's uncomfortable, so you do it. And neuroplastic pain, it's same condition response. You condition your brain to be afraid of that pain. And because it's afraid of that pain, it starts taking that pain itself for danger. And now the pain is dangerous. Your body's like, hey, there's danger, there's danger. And what does your body do when there's danger? It tells you there's danger. And how does it tell you? It sends a signal of discomfort. And in terms of pain, that signal is increased pain. It sends you that pain signal because it's trying to show you, to make you aware that, hey, this may be dangerous potentially, and it gets confused. So then the brain thinks that if you do this, you may tear your shoulder or something to your muscle in there, when you really don't. Your arm may be perfectly healthy to do that, but you only do this. And the more you follow it, the more you do this, the more you don't raise your arm, the worse it may get. Now, what you need is and Alan Gordon talks about this in his book, The Way Out, and a brilliant book about managing neuroplastic pain, as he calls it, backed by so many studies. But I do believe this is an OCD subtype. Now, some people say, hey, why even bother with subtypes? And I think this is a prevalent trend lately. Every OCD is the same. When you talk about subtypes, you're only making it worse for people because you're confusing them. Don't even talk about subtypes, because then they may feel special and like their subtype is worse than someone else's. When it's all OCD, you only confuse them. Now, I agree with this, but only partially, because I think subtypes are absolutely brilliant. If it wasn't for subtypes, I would still not be shooting these videos, and I would not be a psychologist. I would not have my clients that I would be helping them with OCD for 3 years now. I would not be here. I would not be having the only Czech YouTube channel that's out there about obsessive compulsive disorder that helped many people. You know, some people said they didn't commit suicide because of it. I've got a few of these emails only, but some people told me face to face that I work with, and you know, it's all thanks to subtypes, because I got diagnosed when I was 7 years old. Kind of classical OCD. I had kind of just right OCD touching, or someone else is gonna die. I don't think my psychiatrist back then knew what just right OCD was, but when I told her I need to touch somewhere, otherwise someone's gonna die, she was like, that will probably be obsessions, that will be OCD, so she diagnosed me. And later on though, I got heart pains. I was afraid I'm not gonna make it, that I'm one of these rare cases that are gonna die young, because you just drop to the floor, hey, brain, heart attack at, I don't know, 16 years old, and you're dead. You don't know it. But I didn't know, because anytime I ran, my heart was in agony, in so much pain anytime I did something. So I always slept on my right side. I didn't know there's a thing called health OCD. I didn't know there's a thing called perfectionistic OCD. I didn't know any of it. And I've had so many of these themes. If I would have known sooner, it literally saved me 15 years of suffering, maybe. So I really... we had no info in the Czech Republic, in Czech language about these OCD subtypes. And so I just thought, hey, I'm probably have some weird, crazy brain. I'm like alien between other normal people. No one else has this on planet. And I had many topics like this that I didn't associate and connect and make the connection. I didn't connect the dots that, this is OCD as well. And so I'm so big and so vocal about subtypes. And funny enough, and lucky enough for some of you who have the same subtypes, I've had so many subtypes in my life that no one else that I've ever met had. I didn't used to suffer. My greatest ones were never contamination OCD, harm, all the classical ones, homosexual OCD. I've always used to have unique OCDs that I suffered from mainly. And that's a lot. What I want to do on this channel is bring these up, make new OCD subtypes and share them with the world, because I'm not really making them. I lived through them. And now I know they've only been OCD because when I applied ERP, when I applied not doing compulsions, when I applied exposures, not getting into the anxiety of it all, facing the anxiety, treating anxiety with anxiety by facing that anxiety, they stop bothering me over time. So what I'm gonna say to you about pain OCD is that your obsession, it's like neuroplastic pain, because you may ask, well, how does it differ from somatic pain then? It doesn't much, but there's one critical difference, which is that you are obsessed even more so than persons suffering from neuroplastic or somatic pain. You are not just, everyone has a story, right? If from Alan Gordon, I know from his book and from some other books like Outsmart Your Pain that I've read on chronic pain, you may have chronic pain, okay? Somatic pain, chronic pain, neuroplastic pain, all the same. Pain lasting for 16 years, 20 years, and you try everything, you can't solve it. But you have some story associated with it. That's also adding to the pain. But unless you have pain OCD, the story won't be as drastic. The pain is going to be the main problem. But when you have what I call pain OCD, what it's going to look like is that you're not only going to have the obsession in form of the pain, because obsession is something that's coming along all the time and it's driving you nuts because it's intrusive. You cannot get rid of it. It's there all the time. But that's not going to be your biggest problem, probably. Your biggest problem with pain OCD, yes, it's going to be the pain, but it's also going to be the story about the pain that's going to be extremely obsessional. More so than in classical chronic pain sufferers. It's going to be so obsessional, in fact, that you're going to be completely obsessed with the fact of how this pain came about, how you could have prevented it, whose fault is it, that it was a stupid mistake maybe that caused the pain, how you are stupid, how someone else may be stupid. You're going to be obsessed about the story of the pain's origin and how it came about, and you're going to completely obsess about the future aspects of the pain. By that I mean negative aspects for your life, for your family's future, for your career, and you're gonna obsess over these things. And that's what I call pain OCD. And you're gonna have pain in various parts of your body, maybe more so than one, over your life, and you're always gonna be completely obsessed about it. So these are the obsessions. Now, what are the compulsions that you have to stop doing? Because remember, compulsions is something that increases certainty that I'm gonna get over this thing, and it lowers your anxiety. But that's not what we wanna do, right? Because in order to battle condition response, in order to show your brain that, hey, we don't need to have a condition response, you don't have to send me anxiety over this, I'm not in danger here, you don't have to signals of dangers to me so I avoid this thing. No, I wanna stop avoiding it, I wanna face it, because this is not dangerous, actually. So in order to not have that condition response, you gotta show your brain, hey, this is not dangerous. Now, how do we show our brain that? We face that thing. We confront it. We don't run away from anxiety. If it was a storm on the sea and we are salesmen, S-A-I-L, you know what I mean, not salesman, like, we go into the storm. That's the only way out there. That's the only way to do it. And so we face the anxiety. By that, our brain is like, hey, what the hell are you doing? We run away from this thing for so long. Why are you running towards it now? But then it's like, okay, he's running towards it for a few months now, and still we're not dead, still, or for a few years, OCD takes real long. We're still not dead? Oh, that thing's probably not dangerous. That pain is probably not dangerous. We've probably been kind of confused. Hey, let's not give him that pain. Let's enable him to just raise his arm. I'm purposely raising it like this and not like, more in front, so it doesn't kind of look weird, if you know what I'm talking about. So I raise my hand on purpose like this, kind of like backwards, because I don't want to, I'm sitting in front of a window, someone will be like, hey, what the hell is he doing with his arm there, on a video, maybe like, this guy's kind of politically, let's call it police on him, if you're getting what I'm stretching here, kind of, as the saying goes. I hope the saying goes like that. I'm not native in English, but anyway, guys, so you gotta stop doing compulsions, and compulsions for pain OCD are you just don't do movements that you find painful. Now, you may have real pain, right? So that's the catch-22 here. You're like, hey, is this pain real? Is it neuroplastic? So what Alan Gordon, for example, recommends in his book is, hey, find ways in which it's kind of illogical. Okay, so let's say you may have a very big pain, But then you don't sleep one day and you wake up and you're tired. And now you realize that all of a sudden you may sit, because let's say you have a lower back pain and you need to sit in a perfectly bolstered chair. I used to have that. I used to have like a pillow under my lower back. I had all the pains, guys, you can imagine, like neck, knees, shoulders, back. And it's very hard. It's very hard to decide whether it's a real pain or not, or whether it can be what I call pain OCD, or what you may call chronic pain. But when you have OCD, OCD sits on it, so it's even worse. It's like OCD and chronic pain together that you're suffering from. So it's even worse than just chronic pain in my mind. But anyway, now, for example, you sit and you don't have the perfectly bolstered chair. And when you don't have the perfectly bolstered chair, all of a sudden you feel pain. But then you realize, because you have a night full of lack of sleep, because you're like, oh, damn, that terrible neighbor's dog, damn, I gotta close all the windows, I can't sleep because of it, damn, and then you start to have like, oh my God, that terrible dog, I'm gonna, and you may have harmed OCD about it or whatever. And I had a client like that. And then, he didn't sleep. And then the next day, what he finds out is, hey, I had this strange thing. I think I've experienced what you were talking about that you read in that book, because I was so tired, I didn't even felt the pain. I didn't even feel the pain. And I realized then and there that, oh my God, I don't need to sit on perfectly bolstered chairs. I don't need a pillow under my lower back. I can just sit anywhere. But I realized towards the end of the day, wow, that was so weird. Because today I just sat anywhere. I didn't care. But it wasn't that I didn't care. It was more so that I was so tired that now I was occupied with this sensation of tiredness. And that was kind of what I was like, damn, I didn't sleep. But I realized, hey, I didn't really feel pain. That's one of the signals that signals to you that so now you know that, oh my God, this may not be an actual pain. This may be a neuroplastically induced pain. Now it may be induced real. It may be a real injury or something. I refer to a good reference. Read Alan Gordon's book, The Way Out. Brilliant book. But it may turn chronic. It may be real for, I don't know, a week or two. The body can heal. The body is resilient. But then it may turn chronic because it becomes a conditioned response, because your brain sees that you're afraid of it. That if happens, compulsion is anything that keeps your brain thinking that it's dangerous. It's anything where you run away from it, avoid it. Now, it's good to do this according to Alan Gordon, in smartly. So not, if you cut everything all out, then you're just gonna have such a bad time. You may not be able to fall asleep. You may not be able to focus. You may do really bad at work, that it can really backfire. And you may teach your brain that actually, oh, this is even more dangerous than we thought. So do this smartly. I don't want to say everything from the Gordon's book, because I'm always afraid of copyrights. And I think I may even have OCD about that. So I think I've said enough. So go and read his book if you're more interested in that. I think it can really help you out. But it's not just what we're dealing with, what he refers there, because pain OCD is more complex, I feel. And so you also got to deal with non-rumination. Really try to not ruminate, not try to solve it in your head. Oh, what happened there? Whose fault it is? Would it really happen? If that didn't happen, try to live your life to the fullest. You got to have a really good regime, daily regime. By that, I mean, wake up. You can have a Google Calendar. Do this, do that, do this. Really for your brain to be taken away from constantly thinking about this. Try to live your life to the fullest, even with this pain. That's your new life challenge now. In fact, I dare you for an even better challenge. I dare you to live your life even more to the fullest because you have this pain. Don't allow your OCD to win. Your OCD is going, oh, we have this pain now, your own life, we can't live it, it's all so bad, and I can't live my life now, it's so bad, it was so good. Your OCD wants you to be in that state of mind. Your OCD doesn't want you to be in that state of mind. Your OCD wants you to become that, what I just showed you. It wants you to become literally that embodiment of that. You gotta stop doing that. So this is for pain OCD. Find the ways in which you're like, oh, this may not be a real pain, because it may be, but you never know. But the moment you think it's real, you're like, oh, I can't move because I'm gonna By the way, this is not a medical advice, okay? I'm putting that warning out there for all of you guys who would like to sue me then later on. You know, oh, I did what this guy said in the video, and my arm really, my shoulder really collapsed. Read Alan Gordon's book. Go to see, you may go to see a specialist. Now, obviously, you know, living here in Eastern Europe, as much as I love it, there's not going to be many specialists on freaking neuroplastic pain out there, right? Now, we got some. One of my former professors on college when I studied psychology was an expert, in fact, on somatic pain, but, you know, it's going to be very pricey and there's going to be very few of these people, so it's going to be hard to get to them. Now, but even then, there's no guarantee, right? At the end of the day, you know, there's no medical advice. If you come to any harm by anything that I provide to you in here, in this video, it's not my personal responsibility, it's yours. You gotta know that, because that's the medical disclaimer here, that's the medical warning, because I'm not able to give medical advice online, certainly, because I'm not an MD, I'm not a medical doctor. And so anything that you do that I'm talking about in this video is on your own personal responsibility. So think of it through yourself. I'm not offering you any advice. It's just something to think about for yourself. And you are the one who's then responsible for any actions taken. Now, that being said, your OCD is going to be like, oh my God, so we cannot do anything that he's talking about. But what I'm telling you is just try to, I'm just covering my butt here, right? Okay, guys, because of legal issues, as everyone does, but it's true. I cannot give you any advice. And legal advice, what I can talk from my experience is that I found out, for example, later on that I remember I suffered from really excruciating back pain that was induced by, it was my pain OCD as I now see. And OCD was just loving it. It was loving me being in that pain. It felt totally real though, because, or I had a really sore, now coming to think of it, I'm coughing again, but I had like for 12 months, I had like a really sore throat. I was coughing all the time and I thought it's real. Again, and that pain was driving me nuts because I couldn't focus. I couldn't enjoy my life. It was OCD. So try to find ways in which, you know, with the back pain, then I was like, I had a day where some other sensations took over and I was like, I don't feel it now anymore. That's so weird. Or maybe at times you notice that some things are just like, you feel the pain, but then you do the same thing when you're in pretty much the same position and you don't feel the pain. How come? Oh, that's probably because it may be psychosomatic. And even if it's real, your brain adds so much to it. You know, it adds so much to it, as some studies in Alan Gordon's books show. So you may become aware of that, and then you may stop doing some of these things where you really run away from the pain. It will be avoidance behaviors mostly. You may try to come back slowly to some activities you did. Again, in reference, ideally, while reading Alan Gordon's book and other materials and really studying this topic and finding an expert, ideally. But yeah, just think of it. It may be psychosomatic, guys. And I think for many of us with OCD, we may have some pains that it may be pain OCD. Now, if it's a pain that you're not really obsessed over all the time and it's really not bothering you, it may not be even pain OCD. But if especially if it becomes like your main theme, which it may not. You may have main theme and then you may have some pain that may be subjected to this. But if it's like some main theme especially, hey, you may do conclusions there and it may be, but it feels so real. This feels even more real than all the other themes because you can't, and that's why I'm putting this out there, by the way. That's why I'm putting this out there. Because you can't be like, this thing is just contamination OCD, or, I'm not really gay, it's, homosexual OCD. Oh, that makes sense. These people think the same way I do. Now, I still think that mine is unique and mine is real because of X, Y, Z, but hey, at least now I see it, okay? And I'm trying to provide you that mirror, that recognition where you look at it and you see yourself, this is what, okay, this is maybe what's going on with me. And because it's that mirror that's going to save you or that's going to lose you. And by lose you, I don't mean that, you're going to run in some dystopian, crazy sci-fi movie. I just saw some really weird sci-fi movie. It's called Lobster, and they like shot people. I don't mean that by, losing you. What I mean by losing you is you losing the battle with OCD overall, because you wouldn't know that that's OCD. And that's why we need teams, guys. That's why I'm always going to be vocal about it. You cannot have OCD recovery if you have absolutely no clue that OCD pain exists. Pain OCD exists. For example, You cannot have any OCD recovery if you have some little obscure theme. Because people who say, oh, every theme is the same, be okay. Guess what? Who they are? They're usually the people who never had any unique themes like I did. They never had any themes that, hey, I'm probably the only one in the world, even if I put it on Reddit, even if I put it on Google. There's no one freaking out there, okay? That's why now I'm out there showing some of these themes, and you may have themes that are completely unique to you and that, share it. I think it's great. Now, of course, people will come, don't share it. How do you know that it's OCD? This is bastardization of psychiatry and diagnosis. How do you know? Well, because I live with it. Okay, now, and I'm not saying that this is some official theme that we should now put in DSM-5, which is Diagnostic Manual for Diagnosing Disorders. I'm not saying that. I'm only sharing my experience and saying, hey, this is what I suffered from, and how do I know that it's OCD now? Because I recovered from it by not doing compulsions, just like with the other themes. So now I know, and then I realized, oh my God, it was OCD as well. But unless we know, and if you only have these typical themes, of course you don't care about subtypes. Hey, it's just confusing, people don't do it. Because you have freaking contamination OCD, or check-in OCD, or homosexual OCD, or hit-and-run OCD, or even some of these that seem obscure, like hit-and-run. So many people have hit-and-run. So many people have. This is not to knock off people who have those. This is just to say that many people who propose this, and they're very vocal. I shared some video on Reddit, and people are just like, hey, no. Every team is the same. The reason why we share this is because of freaking awareness. You need to have that. Otherwise, you don't know. And especially with this theme. Because how would you know? Because, man, this theme, yes, every OCD theme feels real, but this feels even more real in terms of what to do with it, and in terms of treatment, and in terms of your chance of recovery. Because, guess what? It may be, sometimes it's some little BS that creates the pain. But sometimes it's a real injury. Now, how would you have known? How in hell can you know? And then you start doing compulsions. Then, because you do compulsions, your chance of recovery is here, while someone else's chances of recovery with contamination OCD, because there's billions of info about contamination OCD, and so I probably have this thing called contamination OCD, is here, okay? Because they now know not to do compulsions. They now have their insight. They can recognize it. They can make OCD ego dystonic, or they can externalize it, as I like to call it. So they make it, OCD is here. It's not really me. It's not really my thoughts, my emotions, and I'll fight against it because I'm here. And here's my life, my goals, I fight against it. You can do that with pain OCD. If you don't know there's a thing such as pain OCD, you're going to be like, I have this pain and I got to, and why that person did it or I did that. You never make it ego dystonic that way. Okay, so that's why I'm sharing this, and I will share some other subtypes that I suffered from that I think can revolutionize your life and revolutionize the OCD game for you. If you suffer from them, this is going to be niche. This is going to be only for some people. I'm not saying everyone has this, okay? And then, so this was it for pain, for what I call pain OCD. It would then be about not doing compulsions, slowly returned into the things that you did, and really, but only if you first find these exceptions. So only if you really think that, I really do think that he's onto something here and that this really fits my symptoms. This is really for me. And read Alan Gordon's book and you may be like, I really do have these exceptions, Like, I really do have them. Like, that's one way around it, Like, for me, it was many weird instances where you realize or think back of that climb with sleeping. Now I don't feel it. That's so weird, So anyway, guys, I hope you liked this video. If you did, leave a thumbs up and put a subscription on, because if you're one of these folks like me who have very weird out there themes and you felt like alien, even if you discovered OCD, that's the weirdest thing. So many people say, I felt heard, I felt finally, I never had that. I've never had that. I've had to sort of create that myself because I changed my thinking, because I realized that it's not really helping me to feel like so alien, even in the OCD community. So I kind of focus on some irrational beliefs I had about it, that I'm even worse victimized than others, then I have it even worse than them, and I changed those, and now I feel part of the community as well. But I had to really fight my way there because while so many people, although they feel unique and like theirs is real and others are not, you always feel that they still have a much better insight than I got because they are like, oh, homosexual OCD, great. There's so many other people out there with it. I've never had that. And of course, it's only to an extent because then OCD says, yeah, but yours is different. But I've never had that, guys. All my main OCD themes that I suffered from, the most known one from them was sensory motor OCD, which is being said. What's being said about it is that it's the most obscure OCD that you may possibly have, maybe even where there's the least info that we have about maybe any OCD is sensory motor OCD, and that was my out of my main themes. I sometimes suffer from contamination and all the others, but out of my main themes, apart from just right OCD and perfectionism OCD, I would say this was my most known theme. And then I had these completely unique themes. So guys, I'm there for you. I'm going to cover you. This channel is right there for this. I don't think there's any other channel out there that's really focusing and thinking of us folks who are kind of weird even for the OCD community when it comes to the OCD subtypes. But we're really not. All OCD is the same. It's true. But we need to have that awareness first that, oh, this is OCD as well. Okay, see you guys later. I'll be very glad for any thumbs up and subscribe because there's going to be new videos rolling out every week. Not every video is going to be suitable for everyone, but I think there's going to be really interesting topics that no one else is covering, like Jungian psychology and OCD, rational emotive behavioral therapy versus cognitive behavioral therapy. I'm going to compare the two in relationship to OCD because I'm a REBT trainee counselor. I fly to London from Prague every single month to learn more about rational emotive behavioral therapy, so I'm going to cover that. There are channels covering that already, but I'm going to add my 2 cents. But I'm going to add something that I call mythological perspective on OCD. I don't think anyone out there is doing that. Maybe Mark the Jesus is doing that. I've never checked his stuff much. So there's some unique content rolling your way. And guys, have a good one. And peace. Have a good one.